Have you ever wondered why all monkeys haven't evolved into humans? This question has likely crossed your mind at some point, although some people outright deny that our ancestors were monkeys, and understandably so. After all, who would want to accept that these monkeys performing antics on the streets could be our relatives? It's not people's fault, but rather the mindset that has portrayed humans as exceptionally special compared to other creatures. This leads to the common question: if we evolved from monkeys, why are there still monkeys today? To be honest, this question is similar to asking why lizards still exist if snakes evolved from them, or why there are still wolves if dogs evolved from them. No need to be confused. In today's episode, we will answer all your questions and explain why today's monkeys haven't turned into humans. Let's start this episode. Friends, you must have heard about Charles Darwin at some point. He was the first person to talk about the theory of evolution, but he never said that we directly evolved from monkeys. If you compare human DNA with monkey DNA, you will find that only 93% of our DNA matches with monkeys, whereas our DNA matches up to 99% with chimpanzees. Now, you might be thinking that our closest ancestors are chimpanzees, not monkeys. But you are mistaken. We did not evolve from chimpanzees or monkeys. In the process of evolution, monkeys and chimpanzees are related to us, but our connection to these species is quite distant. You might wonder how our evolution could be different if our DNA matches so closely with chimpanzees. To explain this, let's talk about the evolution of the finch bird, the same story Charles Darwin used to explain evolution to the world. This theory caused a significant stir in the scientific community. Let's begin with Charles Darwin's story. 2 million years ago, the existence of the finch bird began. These tiny birds were as adorable as they were innocent during their early days. At that time, only one species of finch existed on a small island. They had no knowledge of other habitats, but gradually their population increased, leading to a food shortage. As a result, some birds decided to migrate to other islands. The finch birds split into 3 groups. One group migrated to Island A, another to Island B, and the remaining stayed on Island C. It's evident that the environment of Islands A and B would be different from their home, Island C. So, the migrating finch birds started adapting to their new environments. They began building homes and searching for food. The living conditions and eating habits varied between the islands. The temperature, ecosystem, and habitat of Island A were very different from Island B. Island A had an abundance of fruits, while Island B had small insects. Therefore, the finches on Island A developed long, hard beaks to eat fruits and were called long-beak finches. In contrast, the finches on Island B needed strong beaks to eat insects, so their beaks remained short but became strong, and they were called short-beak finches. To survive in their respective areas, both bird groups evolved differently. Initially, they faced many challenges because the conditions on these islands were different from their old home. But to survive, they adapted. Now, there were 3 types of finch species on Earth: those with long beaks eating fruits, those with short and strong beaks, and the original species on Island C. The finches on Island C were the original ones from which the other finches migrated. So, we can say that 2 new species evolved from the finches on Island C. It cannot be said that the finches on Island A and B evolved from each other. However, it can be said that both finches had the same primary source and evolved from the same origin. If you compare their DNA, both species would have the same DNA as their source, but their evolution paths are different. We can classify them as evolutionary cousins. This example applies not only to finches, but also to humans. Darwin's theory explains the evolution of all living beings on Earth. For instance, snakes and lizards are believed to have a common evolutionary source. Also, wolves and dogs evolved from the same source. It's not entirely accurate to say that humans didn't evolve from chimpanzees or monkeys. The fact is, humans, monkeys, and chimpanzees all share a common evolutionary source. This means there was an ancestral species from which some evolved into humans, some into monkeys, and others into chimpanzees. We can certainly say that monkeys and chimpanzees are our evolutionary cousins, which is why our DNA matches closely with theirs. However, this does not mean that humans evolved directly from chimpanzees or that chimpanzees and monkeys will eventually turn into humans. Now, if chimpanzees and monkeys are our evolutionary cousins, what was the common source from which we diverged? To understand this, we need to look back in history. According to scientists, humans and chimpanzees began to evolve from a common source millions of years ago, known as hominidae. This species is considered our ancestor. Physically, they appeared to be a blend of both monkeys and humans. They spent most of their time in trees and walked with a hunched posture due to their long arms. Although we do not know their exact physical structure, we can be certain that both humans and chimpanzees originated from this species. We can consider Hominidae as our great-great-great-grandfather. The theory of evolution tells us that due to migration from one place to another, different species evolved, but the primary source remained the same. This is why we have significant similarities with them, including similar DNA. This does not mean we evolved directly from chimpanzees or monkeys, but rather that we are all part of the same family tree. Now, let's address the most intriguing question. Why haven't chimpanzees or monkeys evolved into humans today? Why did only our species undergo such evolution? The answer is quite simple. Evolution in any species occurs when there is a need for development. As seen in Darwin's theory of evolution, finches evolved only when there was a change in their habitat. They developed long beaks to eat certain foods. Otherwise, they would have starved. A similar scenario applies to humans. Humans evolved because they adopted a different way of life by coming down from the trees and starting to walk on the ground. Gorillas and chimpanzees did not feel the need to make such changes. They preferred to stay in their existing conditions. While they were content living in trees and dense forests, humans spread out into the plains of Africa. To gather food, they spent more time on the ground, which led them to walk on two legs. We've already discussed how human evolution progressed in another video. If you want to watch that video, subscribe to our channel and click on the video that appears. Let us know in the comments how you liked this video. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.